What's up, guys? So today I will be reacting to his story as the title says. So don't forget to like and subscribe and comment who do you want me to react to. I can react to Louis A, her story, Zakadi Films, anyone. So like and subscribe and comment who you want. Now let's start for the first video.
I walked into class wearing my brand new hearing aids, and the teacher instantly slammed her marker down. "Are you wearing earphones in my class? Take them off before I do." I calmly told her they were hearing aids. Today is the first day I can hear my friends' voices, but she looked at me over her glasses and scoffed. "That's the worst excuse I've heard in 20 years. But I literally can't hear without them." That's when she reached down and ripped one straight out of my ear. I cried out and grabbed my head in pain, but she just dropped my hearing aid on her.
Bro, this teacher is dumb plus poor boy.
Desk and kept writing on the board like nothing happened. I pressed my hand over my empty ear as my head started ringing. Then she called on me from across the room, but her face got red when I didn't respond. So she marched over and grabbed my... I walked into class wearing my brand like nothing happened. I pressed my hand over my empty ear as my head started ringing. Then she called on me from across the room, but her face got red when I didn't respond. So she marched over and grabbed my shoulder from behind. I flinched so hard.
Guys, poor boy. Plus, this teacher is dumb.
My desk tipped over. The whole class went dead quiet, and she pushed her glasses up her nose. "Stop acting in my class, or I'll send you to the principal and have you suspended." The whole class went dead quiet, and she pushed her glasses up her nose, then picked up her phone and dialed my mom. "You need to come get your son. He's faking a disability for attention." 10 minutes later, my mom walked in through the door.
Bruh, he is dumb. And even look at the comment down. It says, imagine a teacher who doesn't know the difference between earphones and hearing aids. For real, bruh.
I walked into class wearing my brand new hearing aids and grabbed my shoulder from behind. I flinched so hard my desk tipped over. The whole class went dead quiet, and she pushed her glasses up her nose. "Stop acting in my class, or I'll send you to the principal and have you suspended." The whole class went dead quiet, and she pushed her glasses up her nose, then picked up her phone and dialed my mom. "You need to come get your son. He's faking a disability for attention." 10 minutes later, my mom walked in through the door and looked right at my ear that was missing the hearing aid. She whipped her head and saw it sitting on the teacher's desk. So she calmly walked over to the teacher and plucked the glasses right off her face. The teacher panicked and grabbed at the air.
Bro, this mom is actually kinda smart.
"I literally can't see without those." Mom smiled. "That's the worst excuse I've heard in 20 years." She fitted my
she just trusted her
hearing aid back in, took my hand, and walked me out. And the last thing I heard was the teacher bumping into her own desk.
Actually, this kid is lucky and unlucky. So to the next video.
I was sitting alone in class when I noticed the hamster cage was hanging wide open. The weird kid Dex had taken Peanut out of her cage and was squeezing her in his fist. He grinned at me. "You're the hamster monitor for today, right? It's your job to keep this thing safe." I nodded at him. Then he said it out loud, so there'd be no confusion. "Class policy says whoever loses her walks the whole school in their underwear." I gasped, because he was right. I needed to get Peanut back into her cage.
Bro, ain't no way he is going to eat a hamster. I think I know this video.
Before the rest of the class returned from lunch, or I'd be stuck in my underwear while everyone laughed at me. I told him to put her back, but he stepped up on a desk where I couldn't reach. I lunged anyway, and he swung her out over the aisle. Her legs dangled in the air, and she screamed for help. So I stopped grabbing and started begging.
First of all, I feel bad for the orange hair kid. And second of all, how can a hamster talk? Just tell me his story. We need to talk. How can a hamster talk? Like literally.
"Dex, please let her down. Peanut is pregnant with 3 little hamster babies." But his smirk just got even bigger. He held the hamster over his open mouth. I wonder how a hamster tastes. I froze and thought Peanut's fate was to be eaten by this gremlin. But that's when the door swung wide open. Lunch had ended, and every student had returned, only to see Dex holding the class hamster over his open mouth. The teacher screamed, "Dex, what are you doing?" And it was so loud that Dex accidentally dropped the hamster. Peanut flipped in the air and landed right inside Dex's open mouth. Everyone's jaw dropped. it, and I screamed, "No!" Dex started choking hard. His foot slid off the desk, but as he hit the floor, Peanut popped out of his mouth like a vending machine. I dove forward and caught her in both hands, soaked but kicking and alive. I carefully set her back in the nest and clicked the latch, safe and sound. But then she curled up and clenched her stomach. Wait, Peanut is giving birth. The whole class stampeded over Dex to crowd the glass and watched Peanut pump out 3 cute babies. The next day, Dex walked in his underwear while everyone laughed and took pictures. I was sitting alone in class when I noticed the hamster cage was hanging. I was sitting alone in class when I noticed the hamster cage was.
Second video.
I was defending a robbery case in court when I stood up and said, "Your Honor, my client is definitely guilty." The courtroom erupted in laughter. Someone yelled, "What is this lawyer saying?" And my client's head snapped towards me. I was sweating buckets because there was only one explanation. That morning, my stupid son had blown out his birthday candles and wished for just one thing. My dad can't lie for the whole day. And now, because of that stupid wish, I was going to lose this case and end up jobless unless I somehow saved my reputation. The judge leaned forward. "Counselor, would you like to rephrase that?" I opened my mouth to fix it, but what came out was, "No, Your Honor, he did all of it." My client yanked my sleeve and whispered, "Fix this, or else." My jaw clenched harder and harder every second.
Yo. Guys, if you think he is actually going to beat him, like and subscribe. Please, please.
But then I got a brilliant idea. I call my own client to the stand. He walked up smiling because we'd planned to feed him easy questions. So I looked him in the eye and asked the first question, "Where were you that night?" He leaned into the mic all relaxed. "At home, sleeping, like I told the cops." But my mouth suddenly interrupted. "No, you weren't. You told me you were at the jewelry store where the robbery took place." The courtroom laughed again and he gripped the stand. "Whose side are you on?" "Yours." That's the sad part. I clamped both hands over my mouth and tears fell through.
Bro, he just roasted him. Why is every video there has to be someone roasting the other one? Like the
My eyes. I leaned in for my last question. "You cracked that vault in 4 minutes all by yourself, right?" That's when my client shocked everyone and shot up so fast his chair flipped. 4? No, that's wrong. 3 minutes. I cracked the vault in 3 minutes.
Bro,
Put some respect on my name. The whole courtroom froze, and even the judge's mouth fell open. My client slapped a hand over his own mouth. That's when it hit me. My son's wish had somehow rubbed off on him. The officers grabbed him, and as they dragged him out, he yelled, "It was a Class 4 vault. Put that in the record." The doors slammed, and the judge slowly took off his glasses and looked right at me. In 30 years, I've never known anyone pull the truth out of a man like that. "You're the best lawyer I've ever seen." The gallery broke into applause, and the prosecutor slid me his card. "Call me if you need a job." I stood there grinning, because my son's wish had both destroyed and saved my reputation. I was defending a robbery case in.
To the next video.
I stood in the middle of my all-you-can-eat restaurant and felt like crying. I'd spent my life savings and trained for 5 years in culinary school, but 7 days in my dining hall was empty. The Kung Pao chicken I'd spent years perfecting sat untouched, and I dropped to my knees. But then, a 300-pound man walked in.
Bro, what did he even do? Why is he even making fun of him? Because he is a fat man.
Grabbed one of everything, and my face lit up because I finally had a real customer. But then I looked closer and instantly got ready to fight him. He was adding his own herbs and spices to my food. I instantly stormed over and asked why he was changing my Kung Pao, but he stared at me like it was obvious. "Because your original recipe tastes like dog shit left to bake in the sun, but with a few tweaks of my own, it's delicious." My jaw dropped, and I went to escort him out, but he shoved a spoon of my own dish into my mouth before I could say a word. I nearly gagged, and my hands shook in horror because I realized the recipe I'd worked on for so long was actually a crime against taste buds. "Now try mine." He shoved a second spoon in my mouth, and my eyes glowed like in that one Ratatouille scene. "This is incredible." "I know." He walked to the entrance door, flipping the sign around to closed. "We're turning this restaurant around." For the next 5 hours, I watched him refry my wings, re-season my fish.
Bro, what the heck? How is he even now hired?
Cross entire items off the menu, and call the recipes I'd spent 2 years on prison food. When he was done, I asked him if he was a chef, but he just twirled his fork. "Nah, I'm just a fat guy who loves food." The next morning,
Bro, he just said it by himself.
I opened the restaurant, and at lunch, I watched my second ever customer take a bite of the Kung Pao. He nearly fell out of his chair and immediately went back for more.
By the way, guys, if you want me to also play Among Us with mods, just say, okay? And also, I think I am going to do a video Among Us with mods. So let's go back in the video.
That evening, my restaurant was full, and Joe stood in my kitchen, eating the Kung Pao chicken, now as my head chef and co-owner of the restaurant. He saved my business, so giving him half was the least I could do. I stood in the middle of my...
What about now? Let me put...
I was on a public... When my history teacher accidentally taught us about cavemen, Kevin, the dumbest kid in class, immediately shot up. Is it true that cavemen invented fire? The teacher nodded. We should all appreciate it. Kevin cackled and rubbed his hands together like an evil fly, and none of us were prepared for what he had up his sleeve. The next afternoon, we were back in the same seats when dark smoke filled the hallways. The intercom crackled. Fire in the building. All students evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. The fire alarm screamed, and Kevin smiled at the ceiling and rubbed his hands together. As we walked out, I turned to him. Bro, did you cause this? He nodded like I was the dumbest kid in the school. Duh, you heard teach. Fire's the most important thing that ever happened. I'm showing her I appreciate it, and then she'll finally let me pass her class. A girl up front shrieked, "You could have killed all of us." But before Kevin could respond, sprinklers went off over our heads, and I just hoped the principal would expel him so
Bro, they are dumb, like, just to run.
Kevin could never hurt us again. But when we made it to the front lawn, and I explained to the principal what Kevin did, he walked past Kevin and stormed right over to the teacher. How could you be so reckless? You stood in front of a boy who was stupid enough to eat glue for lunch and told him to appreciate fire. He straightened his tie. We're not pressing charges. Kevin cheered. Does that mean I passed the class? The principal sighed. Yes, Kevin. Yes, it does. When my history... The school bully...
Wait a minute, where's the video?
Me and my boys cornered our art teacher. "Can you take us to see Obsession, Mr. Bell?" He shook his head. "It's rated R. You're 14. And my boys all glanced at me, but I mouthed, "Check me out." I stared at Mr. Bell. The rumors were right. The history teacher, Mr. Flaherty, is cooler than you. Mr. Bell stood up so fast, he almost fell. Now hold on a second. He took out his phone and instantly started scrolling AMC showtimes. I grinned at my boys because he'd do anything we wanted, as long as we called him uncool right after. Keon tested it next. "Yo, Mr. Bell, can you get us a hotel room before the movie? I want to chill." Mr. Bell laughed. "Nice try, kid." He was already turning back to his desk when I crossed my arms and rolled my eyes. I knew you weren't as cool as Mr. Flaherty. His eyes immediately widened. Now hold on a second. An hour later, we were at a 5-star hotel, and he was swiping his credit card to pay for us all to have a deluxe suite. We knew this could only end badly, but we were too excited to care. And at 8 p.m., we rolled into the theater smelling like garlic butter, and Mr. Bell strutted to the counter. 5 for Obsession. I'm their guardian. We all silently dapped each other up, but then Keon grabbed my arm and pointed at the concession stand. It was Mr. Flaherty, the history teacher, aka our art teacher's arch nemesis. He stood in a huddle of his third period kids, swiping his card under a tower of popcorn buckets. I gasped because I realized he was being manipulated the same way we were manipulating Mr. Bell. When Flaherty saw Mr. Bell, he turned to the kids. "Get whatever you want, and let's upgrade our chairs to recliners, just cause I'm cool like that." We all leaned in, biting our nails, waiting to see what would happen next. Bell clenched his fists and bought the row behind us so nobody could kick our chairs. Nobody had called anyone uncool, and nobody needed to anymore. They were outcooling each other on their own, and we were the scoreboard. Eventually, they both bought out the entire cinema room, and when we walked in, I sank into my recliner behind a mountain of snacks and leaned over to Keon. "I told you the history teacher was cooler." 3 seats down, Mr. Bell's head whipped around. "Now hold on a second." Me and my boys cornered our art teacher.
Guys, so this is gonna be the